But while the Hawthornes' house was in a fashionable new suburb of Cape Town, the family maid, Lena, commuted from the flatlands beyond. Nigel Hawthorne hasn't seen her for many years.
Where Lena lives, of course, it's one of the dreariest parts in the whole of the landscape. Oh, it's such a beautiful landscape. I mean, she has a view of the mountain. And the Cape Flats were originally where the sea was, because the sea swept right across from bay to bay, from ocean to ocean. And she's somewhere in between, so it's not very beautiful. And because of the Group Areas Act and all those appalling pieces of administration that went on in the apartheid era, a lot of the Cape Coloured people and the black people were moved out of what looked like desirable residences for white people and thrown out into the Cape Flats to keep them out of the way. It always seemed to me an appalling act of barbarism. Hello, Henry. Very good to see you. You going to allow me in? Is she inside?
Yeah, Lena's inside.
Let me go and see her. Where's my girlfriend?
Hello.
Hello, my lovely.
How are you?
How are you? Hello.
Fine.
Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you.
Oh, long time, eh?
Long time.
How are things?
Things is fine. I only want you to get married.
I would have married you, you see, and then you
Oh.
went and got married yourself.
Oh, I see.
To take this off?
Yes.
An unveiling. Where do you want the milk?
On here.
Whenever we come here, we have lots of cakes, lots of
Well, I didn't
snacks.
bake. I didn't bake any cake.
No, we don't eat cakes. We just had breakfast.
How much milk?
Milk. Oh, shall I take mine?
Yes.
So, not too much, you see. I like it.
Where's the?
That's lovely. Yeah, perfect. There we are. You know, we've kept in touch through the years.
Yeah, to all these years. I only want you to get married. There's lots of things the person has already forgotten about, you know.
I know.
What you've been doing in your young days and all sorts of things. Well, I was very terrible when I was young.
Were you a bad girl?
If you want to know all these things and you'll say no, it can't be. Because you've never been married. One night I went to a dance. Well, and I had on a beautiful dress.
Did you make your own clothes?
I used to make it, but then I had night was a special cloth.
I suppose when I was growing up, there was always this problem that I wasn't married, and people used to say, "Isn't it about time you?" And it must have seemed odd to my parents that I didn't have girlfriends. Or anybody, you know, there was nobody in my life.
For years, Nigel Hawthorne's private life remained private.
Seamus, come on.
Then in 1995, on the eve of the Oscars ceremony, he was interviewed by a gay American magazine about his 18-year partnership with screenwriter Trevor Bentham.
Although we were sure that everybody knew, I mean, there was no reason for them not to know. Actually having the press say it made it easier, eventually, because if it's out, it's out. If you're out, you're out. When we were brought up, if you were a homosexual, you kept quiet about it. And I suppose running away to England when I was 21 was again not facing up to my sexuality. And so for years in England, I lived a sort of double life. And never felt in any way at ease with being gay, as we call it now. Never liking the world very much. Finding the more extreme, more extrovert gay people offensive and alien to me. And so I was sort of somewhere in the middle of all that, and not able to find somebody that I could share my life with, because I found going into the bars and the clubs and things where you met those companions didn't suit me. Although I used to do it, but in a very half-hearted and embarrassed way, feeling that I was going to be recognised and reported to the police or whatever.
When I first met Nigel, he was pretty insecure. He was quite nervous. He was quite truculent, actually. It would be very difficult to work with, I knew, because I was working with him in a stage managerial capacity. Quite moody, not always popular with the other members of the cast. And then, I would like to say it's because we've started living together, but at least it gave a kind of security that wasn't in his life before, and a calming down.
My life has changed out of all recognition, you know. I've become more at ease with myself. I don't have these black depressions that I used to have. They're very much a thing of the past.
In spite of going through such a mudslinging episode, Nigel Hawthorne's reputation with the public has grown, and he recently received the ultimate accolade of a knighthood.
Nigel is a grown-up, and so he's grown up into the great parts. And in a way, the logic of his career, looking at it from the outside as I am, seems perfect.
He literally can do everything and does everything. So many actors now give up the theatre, but Nigel never has. He's always gone back to the theatre and practiced the craft in the theatre. I mean, the fact that he's now coming up to playing Lear, this is right for Nigel, because he's ready to play Lear. He should play Lear. It's his part.
After his performance as George III, the story of a king descending into madness, Nigel Hawthorne was approached several times to play King Lear, but he was determined to wait for the right production. Now he has accepted the offer from director Yukio Ninagawa, who has won great acclaim for his Japanese interpretations of Shakespeare's plays.
I think there is always something new in the way he portrays characters, something which ordinary people do not even notice. He surprises us by showing how a human being can be.
Here's the place, my lord.
King Lear, of course, is awesome, and I tackle it with trepidation. But I do tackle it, and I don't hang around thinking, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this.
Oh, Regan, God of my old kind father, whose frank heart gave all. Oh, that way madness lies. Let me shun that. No more of that.
I think most people, when they get to middle age, would rather settle for an easy ride, generally speaking. I never wanted an easy ride. I always wanted an interesting ride. This is the prayer gong of a Buddhist temple which was built same year as the Great Fire of London, 1666. Wonderfully peaceful here. Little lady chattering away like a sparrow. But otherwise just the cicadas and the trees. Right in the middle of Tokyo. Around there's where you go and pray now. I have to take my shoes off first. Looks like King Lear and the fool on the heath. The old man there on the left, and the fool resting. Like the scene we did yesterday with hair, eyes slightly mad. Strange to find that here. We're not allowed in there.
There is no Japanese actor who is 70 years old and as capable and beautifully aged as Nigel. Aging for the Japanese is to become like a withered tree, quiet, static, and without desire. But Nigel is a 70-year-old man who is still fighting.
One of the things about King Lear is that you know you're moving towards a man's death. And he says right in the beginning, he's going to crawl towards death. He's not going to embrace it willingly. He's going to make the most of this retirement period that he can. And maybe that's what King Lear is, a man at the end of his life, moving towards death and not really wanting to confront it.
Attend the lords of France and Burgundy, Glasgow.
I don't think of him as an old man. I can't think of him as an old man. I can't think of him as... 70 doesn't look old on him. He doesn't behave like an old man. He behaves exactly the same as he always did. He plays tennis, he swims, he rushes about, he gardens, he's incessant. He's absolutely... The energy level is enormous. There are people who just don't grow old.
I think mortality is always very frightening to confront. You have to face up to it. And I do know that undertaking something as monumental as Lear at 70, when most people tackle it in their 40s, is asking for trouble, I suppose. But I think I'm all right.